Hey my friend, Johnny Good here for RealHomeStudio.com with 6 reasons why your home studio mix sounds And stick around to the end of this video when I'll reveal to you my top tip for making sure that you don't get a nasty surprise when you finish your mix and find out that it just doesn't translate in the real world. Number 1, and that's a build-up of the lower mid-range. That's around 350 to 500 hertz. It's a really common frequency in a lot of instruments that you're probably going to be recording in your home studio. I'm certainly thinking guitars, pianos, and of course the vocal too. Not only that, but home studio rooms are also quite susceptible to generating a lot of this low mid frequency when you're doing your recordings. So it's quite likely you're going to have a big build-up in this area, and that's going to make your mixes sound muddy and boomy. So to avoid that and to maintain clarity in your mixes, you may well want to do a surgical cut with your EQ around that frequency band. You may even want to do this on your mix bus, but don't go on autopilot when you're making these cuts. Always remember to use your ears, otherwise your mix might start suffering from problem number 2. And that's creating a thin or hollow sounding mix by actually taking away too much body from those low mid frequencies, also being over generous with your high pass filters too. So when you're making those muddy cuts, just take care that you're not taking out too much of the body of the sound. Avoid using too wide EQs. Use your ears. Remember, mixing is all about balance. Number 3, not enough bass in your mixes. This is a home studio classic, and really it's often rooted down to your monitoring. The problem being that monitoring typically in home studios gets shoved into corners or into difficult positions, and rooms in home studios are just simply not designed for accurate monitoring. More often than not, they're going to create a lot of bass. And if you've not got bass traps and acoustic treatment in your home studio, then it's very likely you're going to be perceiving the bass to be much louder than it actually is in your mix. So you're going to take too much of the bass away, and when you come out from your home studio, your mix is just not going to translate in that low end in the real world. Number 4, and this is an absolute mix killer regardless of genre or style of music that you're creating. If you've got the vocals too low in your mix, it's an absolute killer for it, and it's going to frustrate the hell out of the listener too. The other thing is, if you're mixing your own voice, it's very, very common that you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable and be tempted to bury it into the mix. My top tip for this would be, if you're mixing with your own voice, to get it where you think it should be, and then turn it up 1 or 2 dBs louder. I hope you're enjoying today's video. Just quickly wanted to let you know that if you want to supercharge your home studio mixing skills, I've got a 7 steps guide to create musical mixes from your home studio. It's completely free. You can grab it from the link below. Number 5, this is a super common one for home studio owners working on their own, and that's simply to have too much going on. The best way to fix this is to make sure you do a bit of pre-production, make sure you've got a plan before you start recording, and avoid having lots of multi-miking where you're going to have to make choices later down at the mix process. Avoid overcrowding your mix and just having too much going on, and make your instruments and the lines you write for them work for you and work for the mix. Number 6, overcompressed, squashed, lifeless mixes with no energy. Hear this a lot. It's a big beginner mistake. Just because you've got access to compression doesn't mean you have to use it. If you're starting out and you're doing a simple recording like acoustic guitar and vocal, it's very unlikely that your acoustic guitar is going to need any compression at all. And if you're not sure what you're doing with a compressor, grab something like Klanghelm's free MJC Junior. It's super easy compressor to use, and it sounds great on vocals. Again, keep it simple and watch that dial. And finally, that top tip to make sure that you don't experience that crushing disappointment when you take your mix, which sounds fantastic in your home studio, out into, say, your car, and it falls flat on its face. And that's to make sure that you use reference tracks throughout the mix experience. Use them with headphones. That's not to say you want to get a carbon copy of the mix reference, but it will really help you to make sure that your mix is in the ballpark area and you haven't made any big clonking mistakes. So that's 6 reasons why your mix is sounding, well, not as good as it should be from your home studio. If you've got a good one, let me know in the comments box below. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Most importantly, go have yourself a great day.